After the age of 50, the decline of glute strength is rarely a direct consequence of aging itself. It is far more often the result of prolonged sitting and reduced movement variety that slowly alters how the nervous system prioritizes muscle activation. The glute muscles are among the largest and most metabolically active muscles in the body, designed to generate power, stabilize the pelvis, and coordinate movement between the upper and lower body. When these muscles are not regularly engaged, the brain begins to treat them as optional, shifting effort toward smaller, less efficient muscles in the lower back and thighs. This neurological downregulation happens quietly, without pain at first, but over time it reshapes posture, walking mechanics, and balance in ways that feel like getting older, even though they are largely reversible adaptations. Sitting for long periods places the hips in constant flexion, a position that shortens certain muscles while inhibiting others. In this state, the glutes remain lengthened and inactive, sending reduced sensory feedback to the brain. The nervous system relies on frequent communication to maintain strength and coordination. When signals decrease, motor units within the glutes are recruited less often and with less force. This does not mean the muscle fibers disappear immediately, but rather that they lose their readiness to respond. As a result, when standing up, walking, or climbing stairs, the body compensates by overusing the quadriceps or spinal muscles, increasing joint stress and reducing movement efficiency. The first essential exercise works by reversing this communication breakdown. Rather than focusing on speed or heavy resistance, it emphasizes controlled hip extension and intentional muscle engagement. From a scientific perspective, this type of movement restores proprioceptive input, which is the nervous system's ability to sense muscle length, tension, and position. As proprioception improves, the brain begins to reassign responsibility back to the glutes, allowing them to initiate movement again. This neurological reactivation often precedes visible strength gains, meaning people feel more stable and confident before they notice changes in muscle size or tone. When the glutes resume their role as primary movers, posture begins to change almost automatically. The pelvis aligns more neutrally, reducing excessive arching or rounding of the lower back. This alignment decreases compressive forces on the lumbar spine, which explains why many individuals experience reduced back discomfort after consistently practicing this movement. Walking mechanics also improve because each step is now driven by hip extension rather than knee dominance, creating a smoother, more energy-efficient gait. The body expends less effort to move forward, conserving energy and reducing fatigue during daily activities. Another important effect of glute reactivation is improved circulation and metabolic function in the lower body. Large muscles act like pumps, assisting venous return and supporting oxygen delivery to surrounding tissues. When these muscles are inactive, circulation slows, contributing to stiffness, coldness, and reduced endurance in the legs. By re-engaging the glutes through deliberate movement, blood flow increases, supporting joint health and tissue repair. This enhanced circulation also improves nutrient delivery and waste removal at the cellular level, which is particularly important as the body's regenerative processes naturally slow with age. Psychologically, the reawakening of the glutes can be surprisingly powerful. Many people over 50 associate movement with caution or discomfort, gradually limiting their range of motion to avoid strain. When the body begins to feel supported again from the hips, fear-based movement patterns soften. Standing up feels easier, walking feels more secure, and the brain updates its internal model of what the body can safely do. This shift in perception reinforces further movement, creating a positive feedback loop in which confidence and strength grow together. Over time, the glutes resume their intended role as the foundation of upright movement, allowing the body to function as a coordinated system rather than a collection of compensations, restoring a sense of capability that had quietly faded without being consciously noticed. After 50, many people begin to notice discomfort in the knees, hips, or lower back and assume that the joints themselves are deteriorating, when in reality the issue often lies in how force is being managed during movement. The glute muscles are designed to absorb and redistribute impact every time the foot meets the ground. When they are weak or poorly activated, this shock travels upward and downward through the joints, placing stress on cartilage, ligaments, and connective tissue that were never meant to handle that load alone. The second essential exercise focuses on restoring the glutes' ability to control and generate force during walking, stepping, and standing, transforming them back into efficient shock absorbers rather than passive passengers. From a biomechanical standpoint, Walking is a series of controlled single-leg balances. Each step requires the glutes to stabilize the pelvis while the body's weight shifts from one side to the other. When this stabilization fails, the pelvis tilts, the knee collapses inward, or the lower back compensates with excessive movement. Over time, these compensations accumulate, leading to joint irritation and a sense of instability. The second exercise directly trains this missing stability by loading the hips in a controlled way, teaching the glutes to engage at the precise moment when the body needs support. This timing is crucial, because strength without coordination does not protect joints, it merely adds force to an already inefficient pattern. Neurologically, this exercise enhances proprioception, the body's internal sense of balance and position. Proprioceptive receptors in the muscles, tendons, and joints send constant feedback to the brain, allowing it to make rapid adjustments during movement. With age and inactivity, this feedback becomes less precise, increasing the risk of missteps or falls. By challenging the glutes to stabilize under controlled load, the exercise sharpens this sensory input, helping the brain recalibrate how much force is needed and where it should be applied. This improved communication translates into smoother transitions between steps, better balance on uneven surfaces, and quicker reactions to unexpected changes in terrain. The impact on joint health is significant. When the glutes absorb more force, the knees experience less rotational stress, and the hips move through their natural range rather than being forced into awkward angles. This reduces friction within the joint and decreases inflammation over time. Many people notice that activities such as climbing stairs or standing from a seated position become less painful because the workload is now distributed across the muscles designed to handle it. This redistribution does not require extreme effort, it relies on consistent, moderate stimulation that retrains the body's movement strategy rather than overwhelming it. There is also a metabolic dimension to this process. Strong, active glutes demand more energy, improving glucose uptake and insulin sensitivity in the lower body. This is particularly relevant after 50, when metabolic efficiency often declines. By engaging these large muscles, the body becomes better at regulating blood sugar, which supports sustained energy levels and reduces systemic inflammation. Lower inflammation, in turn, protects joints and connective tissue, creating an environment in which movement feels easier and recovery occurs more quickly. Emotionally and psychologically, the return of joint confidence changes how people approach daily life. Fear of pain or instability often leads to reduced activity, which further weakens muscles and accelerates decline. When movement feels supported again, hesitation fades. Walking becomes more fluid, posture more upright, and the simple act of moving through space feels less like a risk and more like a natural expression of strength. This renewed trust between the body and the mind encourages regular movement, reinforcing the adaptations created by the exercise and allowing the glutes to reclaim their role as the silent guardians of joint health and stability in everyday life. After the age of 50, the conversation around exercise often becomes centered on avoiding risk, conserving energy, and doing less, yet from a physiological perspective, the body still responds powerfully to the right kind of stimulus. The third keynote revolves around how activating the glutes through deliberate, functional movement triggers beneficial hormonal and metabolic responses that support strength, bone health, and overall vitality. These effects are not dependent on extreme workouts or heavy weights, but on engaging large muscle groups in a way that the body recognizes as meaningful work. When the glutes are properly activated, they send signals far beyond the muscles themselves, influencing how the entire system regulates energy, repairs tissue, and maintains resilience. The glute muscles are among the most influential tissues when it comes to metabolic demand. When they contract under control, they require significant energy, prompting the body to improve how it manages glucose and fat. This improves insulin sensitivity, allowing cells to absorb glucose more efficiently and reducing the amount circulating in the bloodstream. After 50, insulin resistance becomes more common, contributing to fatigue, weight gain, and inflammation. By regularly engaging the glutes, the body becomes better at handling energy, which often leads to steadier blood sugar levels and a more consistent sense of physical and mental clarity throughout the day. Hormonal responses also play a critical role. Large muscle activation stimulates the release of growth hormone, which supports muscle maintenance, connective tissue repair, and bone density. While growth hormone levels naturally decline with age, they do not disappear. They remain responsive to mechanical stress, particularly when that stress is applied in a controlled, functional manner. The third exercise leverages this principle by challenging the glutes in a way that is demanding enough to trigger adaptation without overwhelming the system. This balance is essential, as excessive stress can elevate cortisol, the body's primary stress hormone, which counteracts many of the benefits of exercise. The relationship between muscle activation and bone health is especially important after 50. Bones adapt to the forces placed upon them, and the glutes play a central role in transmitting load through the hips and spine. When these muscles are weak, bones receive less stimulation, accelerating density loss. By strengthening the glutes, the mechanical signals sent to the skeletal system increase, encouraging bone maintenance and reducing fracture risk. This process is gradual but cumulative, reinforcing the idea that consistency matters more than intensity when it comes to long-term structural health. Another often overlooked aspect is how metabolic and hormonal improvements influence recovery. When the body becomes more efficient at managing energy and repairing tissue, soreness decreases and resilience improves. Many people assume that feeling sore after exercise is a sign of effectiveness, but for older adults, rapid recovery is a more meaningful indicator of progress. Proper glute activation improves circulation and nutrient delivery to working tissues, allowing the body to repair micro-damage more efficiently. This leads to a sense of strength without exhaustion, making it easier to maintain a regular movement practice. These physiological changes also affect how the brain perceives effort. Improved metabolic efficiency reduces the perceived cost of movement, meaning activities feel less draining. The nervous system interprets this as a safer, more sustainable environment, which encourages further activity. Over time, this creates a positive feedback loop in which movement enhances metabolism, metabolism supports recovery, and recovery reinforces movement. The glutes become central not only to physical strength but to the body's overall ability to adapt and thrive, supporting vitality in a way that feels natural and sustainable rather than forced or exhausting. As people move past 50, stiffness and tension often become constant companions, not necessarily because the body is breaking down, but because the nervous system has shifted into a protective mode. Weak or underactive glutes force smaller muscles to take on stabilizing roles they were never designed to handle, creating inefficiency that the nervous system interprets as instability. When the body senses instability, it increases muscular tension as a form of self-defense. This low-grade, persistent contraction keeps the system alert, shallow in breath, and rigid in movement. The fourth keynote explores how restoring glute strength through the right exercise can quiet this background alarm, allowing the nervous system to relax and coordinate movement with greater ease. The nervous system is constantly scanning for safety. It evaluates joint alignment, muscle coordination, and load distribution thousands of times per second. When glutes fail to provide adequate support for the pelvis and hips, the brain compensates by increasing tone in the lower back, hip flexors, and even the muscles of the neck and shoulders. This is why weakness in one area often shows up as tension in seemingly unrelated parts of the body. The first time the glutes are properly engaged after long periods of inactivity, many people notice a sense of release rather than strain, because the nervous system finally receives a signal that the body is structurally supported again. This exercise works not by forcing relaxation, but by creating mechanical efficiency. When movement becomes efficient, the nervous system no longer needs to overprotect. The glutes stabilize the pelvis, allowing the spine to move within its natural range without excessive muscular guarding. This reduces unnecessary compression and shear forces, which the nervous system associates with potential injury. As these forces decrease, the brain gradually lowers its defensive output, resulting in smoother, more fluid movement patterns. This is why people often report that they feel lighter or less stiff after consistent glute-focused training, even if they have not consciously tried to stretch or relax. Breathing patterns are also closely tied to this process. Chronic muscular tension restricts diaphragmatic movement, encouraging shallow breathing that reinforces stress responses. As glute strength improves and posture becomes more upright, the rib cage gains freedom to expand and contract fully. Deeper breathing sends calming signals through the vagus nerve, further down regulating the nervous system. This interaction between posture, breathing, and muscle activation illustrates how physical strength and emotional calm are deeply interconnected rather than separate systems. Another important effect is the reduction of anticipatory tension. After 50, many people unconsciously brace before moving, especially when standing up, walking on uneven ground, or changing direction. This bracing increases energy expenditure and reinforces fear-based movement patterns. By strengthening the glutes, the body gains a reliable source of power and stability, reducing the need for preemptive tightening. The nervous system learns through repeated experience that movement can occur without threat, allowing reactions to become more automatic and less effortful. Over time, this shift influences sleep quality and overall recovery. A nervous system that remains in a heightened state during the day often struggles to fully disengage at night. When the body feels structurally supported and mechanically efficient, it is easier for the brain to transition into restorative states. Many people notice improved sleep depth and fewer nighttime awakenings as muscular tension decreases. This improved recovery further enhances strength and coordination, creating a reinforcing cycle of calm and capability. Perhaps most meaningful is how this nervous system recalibration changes a person's relationship with their body. Movement stops feeling like something that must be carefully managed and starts feeling like a natural expression of stability and strength. The glutes, once reactivated, become a quiet source of reassurance, allowing the nervous system to operate from a place of confidence rather than caution, restoring a sense of ease that had gradually been replaced by tension without ever being consciously noticed. After 50, physical change is often accompanied by a subtle psychological shift that can be even more limiting than any loss of strength. Many people begin to move with hesitation, not because their bodies are incapable, but because confidence has slowly eroded through years of discomfort, fear of injury, or repeated messages that aging requires restraint. The fifth keynote centers on how rebuilding glute strength does more than restore muscle function, it reshapes the relationship between the mind and the body. When the glutes regain their role as powerful, reliable stabilizers, they send a continuous message of support to the nervous system, allowing trust to replace caution in everyday movement. The glutes play a central role in how we perceive our own physical presence. They anchor the pelvis, influence posture, and determine how force travels through the body. When these muscles are weak, posture often collapses slightly forward, shrinking the body's vertical presence. This subtle change influences how the brain interprets capability, often reinforcing feelings of vulnerability or limitation. Strengthening the glutes reverses this process. As the pelvis stabilizes and the spine aligns, the body naturally adopts a more upright stance. This posture feeds back into the brain, signaling readiness and stability, which can elevate mood and self-perception without conscious effort. Consistency is critical in this process, not because the muscles require constant challenge, but because the nervous system learns through repetition. Each time the body performs a movement that feels strong and controlled, it updates its internal model of what is safe. Over time, this repeated experience replaces fear-based assumptions with evidence-based confidence. The mind begins to expect stability rather than anticipate failure. This expectation shapes behavior, encouraging more movement, greater range of motion, and a willingness to engage with physical challenges that were previously avoided. There is also a strong emotional component to this transformation. Movement that feels reliable reduces anxiety associated with daily tasks such as walking on uneven ground, climbing stairs, or standing for long periods. As these activities become easier, mental energy is freed for other pursuits. People often report feeling more present and engaged in their lives because they are no longer preoccupied with managing discomfort or preventing potential injury. This shift highlights how physical strength supports psychological well-being by reducing cognitive load and emotional stress. The act of strengthening the glutes also fosters a sense of agency. Rather than viewing aging as a passive process imposed by time, individuals experience their bodies responding to intentional effort. This reinforces the idea that change remains possible, even later in life. Agency is a powerful psychological factor, associated with improved motivation, resilience, and adherence to healthy behaviors. When people see tangible improvements in how they move and feel, they are more likely to maintain routines that support long-term health. Over time, the combination of improved posture, reduced fear, and increased agency reshapes identity. Instead of identifying as someone who must be careful or limited, individuals begin to see themselves as capable and adaptable. This identity shift influences decisions beyond exercise, including social engagement, travel, and willingness to try new experiences. The glutes, in this context, become more than muscles. They become symbols of support and confidence, grounding the body in strength and the mind in trust, allowing movement to feel natural, expressive, and empowering once again. If you found these insights helpful and want to continue learning practical, science-backed strategies to stay healthy, strong, and vibrant as you age, don't forget to like this video, share it with friends and family who could benefit, and subscribe to our channel for daily senior wellness tips, nutrition guidance, and simple lifestyle hacks designed to enhance longevity and quality of life. Hit the notification bell so you never miss a new video that can help you live healthier, happier, and more empowered every day.